questions this week coming from our Discord. So, you know what I'm saying? Get up on that bitch. The first one comes from Earthworm Ben. He's a fucking solid dude.
Yeah,
he's a good guy. He's a distant cousin from Earthworm Jim.
Yes.
It's like Earthworm Jim goes home for the holidays, and he's like, oh, fuck, is Earthworm Ben here? And Earthworm Ben comes out, he's like, Jim! And then Jim's like, Ben! And they fucking curl their worm bodies together. Because that's how worm families work.
Yes.
Anyway, he asks, what kind of roster do you like in a game? We also assume we're talking fighting games here. What kind of roster do you like in a game? Do you like a mix of quality and quantity? Do you believe that staple characters should be auto-included if they bring no variety and risk taking the slot of another character? The hype for MK11 is real right now, so that's the pinnacle of a lot of questions, including stuff that we talk about internally. It's all I can think about. It's all we can talk about. So,
yeah.
What kind of roster size do I like in a game personally, Gordy? I will say this. Less than Armageddon, which had 60 characters.
Yeah.
But more than Street Fighter V, which started out with like half a character.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in the good 35 to 38 range.
Okay.
Okay. MKX started with a starting roster of 24 characters, which was leaned very heavy on new characters with some returning fan favorites. And by the time that ended with DLC, I think they were at 36 characters with too many guests and not enough returning favorites.
Yeah.
MK11 is looking, if roster slots are any indication, to start with 25. Combat pack launching with 6 characters. I suspect if they do 2 combat packs, we will end with 38 characters, which is what Injustice 2 ended with after their DLC was done. I do like a mix of quality and quantity, but much more quality over quantity. The Sama will tell you that he prefers smaller rosters, as a larger roster is problematic for newcomers to too big of a matchup knowledge and things like that. Though you could argue if you are a newcomer, you might not be playing competitively and you don't care about matchup knowledge. You just care about variety and fun things to do. So it really depends on the player. But I do prefer quality. Do I believe that staple characters should be auto-included if they bring no variety and risk? Yes and no. So here's the thing. MK11, if they are going to include Reptile, that would be a auto-included because it's a fan favorite. I do not believe that Reptile could include anything that's prudent to the story for MK11, and I think that if he was, he could be taking a roster slot for someone that could be prudent to the storyline, aka Fujin, because we do know that an NRS fucking sucks the teat of guest characters because of how well they sell. So we can expect probably no less than 4 slots being taken up by ridiculous horror movie characters that don't belong in the MK universe.
Yeah, should have their own game.
They should. At this point, they should make another game that's just horror, and it would be cool as fuck.
It would be amazing.
But whatever. So yeah, I think that you're always going to run that risk of slots being taken up by characters you don't have, and by characters that you don't need. And the problem is nobody likes the same roster. Everybody has a different opinion of what the roster should be. What do you think, Gordy? I'm flapping my gums like they're fucking loose ass.
Oh, you have lots
vaginas
to say about it.
I do.
You can keep going. But I think I'm with the Sama on that.
You like smaller rosters?
Well, the thing about a smaller roster is it's easier for me to like pick up on, like, for instance, like we're playing Injustice, I recognize when Superman's going to do an overhead because he's got that animation. And there's 1,000 little bits and data points that you have to become proficient at. The more characters that is, not only is it harder for them to balance it, and there's more nerfing and then more unhappy fans, but it's hard for you as a player to get up to speed where you can play online. And that's actually kind of a big turnoff for me in some of these games. I look at online and I'm like, no, I don't even know how to contend with like Voldo or whatever. And in a big cast of characters, obviously that's a bad example. But So 25 to 30 range, but I think that NRS, you know, since they get most of the characters all out at once, it's overwhelming at first, but I'm fine with it. Quality for sure, though, to answer the question.
Yeah, always quality, because then you run the risk of, like, I think that Killer Instinct, while it was a fantastic game, they were just pumping out like a couple extra characters. Like they had Eagle, which was Chief Thunder's brother. I thought it was like, okay, just like, and now we are just like, we started out with a real small roster. Every character was real quality, and then each season brought new characters, and then it started to grow to the point where it was like, it's too many, and some of these characters are real fucking stupid. Yeah. I don't need Battletoads, as cool as it was. I don't need to see Eagle with his limited moveset. Good question, Earthworm Ben. Ben, tell Jim that I said, I miss you in your games. Next up, we have a question from... I've always not quite known how to say this.
I just say magma.
Liquid hot magma. This question comes from Rivocos Magma. Shout out to Rivocos Magma. This motherfucker has been on the Patreon for...
Since before the Patreon.
Since before the Patreon. And he, I think out of everybody in the R24 community... has watched every single video and has commented on every single video
with a thoughtful comment. Related to the video,
and I really appreciate that. So shout out to you. That we've got 2 questions included from him this week. For his first question is MK11. Do you miss Run or no? I can tell you right now that I am so excited that they got rid of Run. I am, as everyone always knows, I've always said, I am much more MK2 than I am MK3. When MK3 came out and introduced the run mechanic, I just wasn't super in on it. I do love rushdown characters, but I don't love the fucking super aggressive speed that MK3 and Ultimate MK3 introduced. I prefer the games like MK2 and MK Deception that were more slower paced and heavy hitting and big and fucking... strategic. When MKX brought back the run feature, I never used it. Therefore, it negated me to be a competitive player. I wasn't good at MKX. The run mechanic never felt good to me. Having to dash and press block to start running. I didn't like it, and I'm glad they got rid of it.
Yeah.
So no, I don't miss it at all, and I think it's a much welcomed exclusion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think there's like 2 schools of thought here, at least. But
rival schools, you would say.
Rival schools.
Fighting game reference.
Recoveries. So you have your pre MK3, you know, and some of your 3D games where you have like how you described it. There was no run. It was like, I'm going to do this special move. Combos were more like a modular combination of things rather than this smooth running thing. Then, you know, the Killer Instinct bug or something, that kind of high combo stuff that you got in MK3. Some people took to that. They love it, and I can't fault them for that. Well, see, and I
like that you brought up Killer Instinct, because that's the type of game that has ludicrous speeds that I feel comfortable in.
It's because it's all surrounded. It's all about the ludicrous speeds. About the combo system.
Here's what it is. Killer Instinct is like Mountain Dew. It's fucking extreme. It's crazy. It's totally extreme. But then when you take Mortal Kombat, it's like Mortal Kombat, but Monster Energy Drink, where it's kind of douchey. It's like, don't fuck with the speed.
Yeah.
But when you're built around it, like Mountain Dew, totally extreme. It's cool.
Yeah.
Is that a good analogy?
Sure, let's go with that.
Okay.
No, it's good. I would say that, the combos, the juggling, the run, all of that, that's fine. That's cool. But I enjoy, like you described it as slower. I would just, it's a different pace.
A slower pace, you could say.
A slower pace. And I prefer the MK2 model over the MK3 model. That's just me. You can create really clever, incredible juggles and things like that in this game. It's not focused on it. And so I'm excited to see, people using their brains to come up with things.
Agreed. That's the end of the questions. If you want your question featured, circle back to the beginning of the segment where I told you how. Twitter, Discord, patreon.com/R24. All these ways. And we'll talk about the things that you asked.